Fall is here and it went so fast. The leaves are already changing color and falling off the trees. We're Malin and Johan, a Swedish couple that have been sailing full-time since 2016. After 3.5 years of sailing, we welcomed our daughter Vera on board. Most recently, we bought a farm in Sweden where we're going to build our dream boat ourselves from scratch. Welcome aboard and please subscribe for weekly episodes. The concrete floor behind the barn is now empty. The farmer came to pick up the cow dung, but we saved some for the garden. I did a little fall plant arrangement to place on the stoop. I really love the silence here and that nature sounds come through so much. Like the birds, for example.
So before we can actually start building a boat in here, there's quite a lot of things that we need to do on the barn to make it a suitable place to build a boat in. First off, it's quite dirty in here. The walls are really covered with spider web. So I will start by cleaning that off. And then we have the floor. I will vacuum that so we get all the dust out. And then later on we'll put some cover for the wind on the walls. I will also repair some stuff on the outside on the walls, especially on this side. We'll paint the floor with the epoxy paint. We'll get new light fixtures up in the roof, LEDs. We need to fix that barn door. It's not very windproof at the moment. As you can see in the bottom as well. We need to cut that off and repair the doors. And then we have actually ordered large windows. And so we'll replace that barn door with the large windows. They will be here in about 2 weeks from now. So that will be really good. We'll have a beautiful view over the fields and we'll get plenty of natural light in here. But I'm really looking forward to that. There's a leak in the roof. You can see there's some discoloration in the roof over there, and that's because there's two sheets on the roof that are cracked, or there's actually more of them, but that's the two places where it's leaking, so we'll try to replace those. Yeah, that was that part of the wall. I don't know if you can see, but what a difference. There must have been thousands of spiders in there, and now they're in the vacuum cleaner. How's it going?
Yeah, it's getting better and better. More and more spider webs are being removed.
This is the north side of the barn. It looks pretty bad, but it's actually quite okay. The wood is in good condition actually, no rot, but it could use some paint. There's a lot of loose planks here, and they let the wind inside. So I'll try to fasten them to stop the wind. And then I will also use, I don't know the word in English, like a wind stop paper on the inside. It's called vindpapp in Swedish. Yeah, to block the wind. That will help a lot, not having the wind coming in there when it's windy and cold in the winter, even if it's not insulated. Yeah, the rest of the barn, or the walls on the rest of the barn, are covered with sheet metal. So there I won't have to do anything because the wind is already stopped there. So it's only this side that is in its original state. So I'm putting up this breathable fabric on the walls to stop the wind from just going straight through.
We're on our way to Denmark. We're soon heading out on the bridge here, and we're going to meet the naval architect today that is going to look at our drawings of round 3.
It's going to be interesting to hear his thoughts on the drawings we made. I guess we're going to, or that we need to do a lot of alterations.
Ulf had made a couple of 3D drawings of the hull. And he also showed us some of his previous yacht designs. We're down in the harbor in Skovshuvud in Denmark. This is very close to where Ulf lives. And we just came from his home.
Yes, very interesting. And now we have a couple of drawings, something to work with, how the interior will be and everything of that. So in the coming days we have a lot to do.
But he seems excited, and we are so happy that he wants to take on this project, and it feels like a very good match.
Definitely.
Between us and him.
We like all his designs.
Yeah, and great that we are so close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, Bansebäck, where I was brought up, is just across the sound here in Sweden.
Instead of like in the other side of the world. We have this amazing weather today. It's really warm actually. Almost end of September now. Yesterday I took down some more overgrown trees or weed that we have here in the garden. And first up today is this little maple. And these maples, they really grow like weed here. We have some bigger ones in the forest, but then they just come up everywhere. These are from the black bear bushes, and they have thorns just everywhere. You get stuck in them no matter how you treat them. Now we can see out. Yeah. We're working hard on getting the farm in shape.
So, it's been a few days since our meeting with Ulf, the naval architect that are helping us designing round 3. And I have to say it was a really interesting meeting where both of us learned a lot. And it was really cool to see how this work of designing a boat is actually done. Ulf has a lot of experience and has been doing this for many, many years. So we're confident that he will help us design the perfect boat for us. So the way we have been doing this now is that we have presented a long list of features that we would like to have in our future boat. And Ulf's task now is trying to get as many of these features into the design. And that can be pretty tough. Because a lot of these features, they're a bit, how do you say, contradicting, in conflict. You want to have a fast boat, but still you want to have the ability to carry a lot of things on the boat, a lot of weight. You want to have a light but strong boat, and you want to have a lot of space. And you know, sometimes these features are in conflict. So there will probably be some compromises that we will need to do. And our task, me and Malin, we need to think about which of the features on this list are on the top that we cannot compromise on, and which of the features can we put further down on the list that we maybe can make some compromises on. Because, like I told you before, everything on a boat is so three-dimensional. If you move one thing, it always affects something else. So a lot about boat designing is really making compromises. I can tell you a little bit about the feature list that we have presented to Ulf, the short version. We wanted to have a boat that is around 50 feet or 15.2 meters. And the reason for that is that's a good size for us. And also it's the maximum amount of boat that we can really build in here. Maybe we could stretch it a few feet more, but 15.2 meters is a good fit for this barn. We wanted to have a length to beam ratio of around 1 to 4. That's in the waterline, because we want to have an efficient hull, both under sail but also under engine. It's also important for us to have a waterline length that is almost the same length as the length overall, because that gives us speed and and also room inside. So the length to beam ratio, that's the waterline length to the beam in the waterline. Maximum draft around 2.2 meters. That's the same draft that we had on round 2. And for us, that worked perfectly. It's pretty deep. You can get lots of lead deep down, and but still it's not too deep to go into most small marinas. Even here in Sweden, it's been okay, we think. Air draft, 22 meters. So 22 meters over the water, that's not a very tall mast for a 50-foot boat. So that's why the hull needs to be efficient. And the reason that we don't want to have it too tall of a mast is that the sails, we want to keep them manageable, even if you sail the boat single-handedly. The boat should be able to sail around 200 nautical miles in 24 hours. That's in trade wind conditions. And we want a hull that doesn't heel too much. 18 to 20 degrees maximum, because when you're sailing long distances and you're on the wind, it can be pretty tiresome if the boat is heeling too much when you're living on board for longer times. Also, we want to have a deck house on the boat. That gives us the ability to enjoy the views outside, even if the weather is bad. We can keep the watches inside, which is nice when you're sailing in colder areas. But also, we want that deck house to be like the living room of the boat, with the nice views from in there looking out. So that's an important feature, and one I don't think we will make any compromises on. 3 cabins on the boat, 1 owner's cabin and 2 guest cabins. Of course a galley, and 1 head, and 1 head with the shower inside. So only 1 shower inside of the boat. We want to have a separate engine compartment with a watertight bulkhead, where we can put all the tools and all the things on the boat that need service. That way, when you're working on the engine or anything else, you don't have to mess up the rest of the boat where you're living. Up front in the boat, we want to have another watertight bulkhead, and that's another safety feature. If we hit something and we get the hole in the hull, we want to be able to continue sailing and not compromising, so the boat doesn't sink. So what else? This list is of course a lot longer, but this is a short version. Another thing we want on the hull is an integrated swim platform in the stern. And last but not least, the boat needs to be beautiful. And I think that's even more important when you're building the boat yourself, because it's so much nicer if you get out here in the barn and you see something beautiful taking shape. So that's high up on the list. And also that's of course important for the resale value in the future. So I'm really confident that Ulf is the right designer for us. He has designed some beautiful boats in the past, some of the Deerfoot designs, and he is now currently working with Scandi Yachts in Finland, designing their 42 and the 52 deck saloon boats. So we think he has the right eye for the type of boat that we want to have. And he has actually made the first lines drawings for a hull. I mean, there will be a lot of changes, but this is the first proposal of the hull for Ram 3. I don't know if you can see from there, but this is the lines drawing from underneath of the hull. You can see the waterline length is pretty long, and also the length to beam ratio at waterline is pretty narrow. I think it looks beautiful. You see it from the side on this view. Really long waterline. Yeah, it's a beautiful hull. This one is from the front and from the stern. We actually have another thing. Ulf has made a 3D drawing of how the boat could look from outside with this deck house that we've been talking about. So the challenge now is to see if we can get all the stuff inside of this hull that we want to have. But I will show you how it looks here. So this is one of the designs. Here we have a bit more squarish deck house. I would say it looks a bit like a Dutch design. Really beautiful, and it gives you a lot of room inside of the deck house. So that's the main benefit of this proposal, I would say. The cockpit area here is not how it will look on when the design is ready. You can also see on the keel here, that's another important thing. We want to have an attachment point for the keel to the hull that covers a large surface area, because that's important if you, or when you go aground with the boat, that you have a big surface area that can absorb the forces from when the boat is bouncing on rocks. So you can see that the keel is pretty long, but not the long keel boat. The second proposal looks a bit more sleek with the deck house. Maybe a bit more beautiful, but also there's not that much room inside of that deck house. I mean, if we can get everything we want to have inside of this design, I think it's the correct one. But we'll see. There's a lot more work to be done before we're ready with the design of the boat. Yeah, this is really exciting stuff, designing a boat, and I don't know how long it will take before we're ready with the design. This is, in a way, the most important part of the whole build of the boat, because if we do something wrong now, we can't change it later, or some things we can, but it's really important. So it has to take some time. Yeah, now it's time for me to continue with the covering of the walls here. My stapling machine gave up the other day, so I couldn't finish, so that's what I will do the rest of the day today.